You know, back in the days, we didn't really have grinds. When we started skating, as I'm sure a lot of you, when you start skating, you didn't really know that grinding was a thing. Because you look at your skates, and most people's skates don't look like they can grind. And most skates couldn't grind. It took years. What was the first? The Tarmac CE was the first aggressive skate that actually came with a setup that you could grind in. Everything else was, you know, like these. My poor TRS that are completely disintegrated now. The other one has completely exploded. The top area is just gone. But these were the sort of skates. These were not the exact skates, but the sort of skates that I grew up grinding on. And the original grind plate. So you could figure out, you know, there was a little bit of a groove here, and you could kind of do groove tricks, but they would just get small wheels. They would get like 55s or whatever, like skateboard wheels, and they would skate these, and they would skate, you know, coping and stuff, and they'd do airs. They were already doing airs, but they were running flat 72s on half pipe. They would get little wheels, and they would do coping grinds. And if you watched The Hoax, or if you watched Dare to Air, you could see them doing, you know, some of those. I think Chris Edwards, especially in Dare to Air, you could see skating with just skateboard wheels. They were cut down skateboard wheels. And they would do their grinds with that, but they didn't really have grind plates. The first grind plates were the wrench that came in the box for the TRS. So there was a little wrench that came with it that had like a little, like, I don't know what the name of the style of wrench is, but there was a wrench side and then there was a crescent side. You would use that wrench to screw these on and off so that you could change your axles. The wrench just happened to fit on most of the skates, just happened to fit perfectly. And they would put this piece of metal here so that you could grind. You would grind on the plastic and then you would grind on the metal, and you'd have this really nice, cool sound because they were breaking frames. This frame isn't designed for grinds. I mean, this thing is going to shatter, especially now that it's 30 years old. But they would create grind plates so that they could keep from breaking frames. Then people started saying, oh, we could make grind plates. So Senate made grind plates. They made what they called the wrenches. A couple other companies made grind plates. 50/50 made grind plates. So these are some of the original 50/50. These were the Rene Holgreen grind plates. And they came like this. They're an 1/8 inch piece of steel that was cut out and then powder coated. So this is powder coated steel. And it would fit here. And, you know, you would have a nice little groove so you could grind through your plastic. And then as you were grinding on the plastic, you would grind on the plastic and metal. And then the metal would just create this nice smooth groove, kind of like the grind plate that I have. I have a black one here. This is like a aluminum grind plate, more current aluminum grind plate that we make now. You can see that, you know, it's just getting this nice grinded area, nice smoothed area. As soon as you got this smooth area on these frames, this would start smoothing into the frame. It was really cool. It was a really cool time. So this was the first thing that we had. You know, it was metal because we were skating mini ramp and, you know, half pipe, and we wanted metal grind plates. That was where we were grinding. But we evolved, right? So after we started skating more ledges, we started saying, you know what, metal doesn't slide all that great. Let's get some plastic grind plates. So these are some Josh Petty grind plates. These were actually like a third, probably the last generation of plastic grind plates. So it's a very similar design to the orange one, but it is plastic. This is UHMW, which is ultra high molecular weight plastic. It is a soft material. It is a self-lubricating material. It's used on conveyor belts and stuff. And this was probably the perfect material for grinding. It would hold up really well. It would grind really fast. So if it's designed to slide. So if you jumped on a ledge with this thing, you would slide. And everybody was wearing grind plates back in the days. Every different color grind plates. There were a dozen grind plate companies. CDS Detroit, probably one of the most well-known ones. 50/50, of course. Who else was out there? Hardcore grind plates, Senate made plastic grind plates. I mean, you name it and there was a grind plate company. There were plenty of different grind plate companies. I can't think of all the names back then. But everybody kind of made grind plates, and they were really easy to make. They were just little pieces of plastic. You drill some holes, come up with your design, come up with your name, and they would fit right here. And that's how you would grind. So grind plates really didn't evolve very far after that. They did come out with some aluminum grind plates. Senate mostly came out with the aluminum grind plates. Do I have the 50/50 one here? No, I don't. So the original 50/50 aluminum grind plate, very similar to the Senate one. It was a shiny silver. It was thick like these, and it was designed for just grinding with aluminum. And I think we learned pretty quickly that those aluminum grind plates weren't great for skating ledges, so people just skated plastic. And then when UFS came out, they decided to stop doing it altogether, and they just said, oh, frames are replaceable. They're like grind plates, and we didn't need grind plates anymore. At the same time, we were talking about anti-rocker wheels. So skating these wheels, even if you had grind plates on, it wasn't the ideal grind, right? You need smaller wheels, and they would use skateboard wheels. They would use skateboard 55 millimeter wheels, and they would cut down the sides, and they would put the bearings in, and they'd shove them in here. So they weren't even rollerblading wheels, inline skate wheels. They were skateboard wheels. The first anti-rocker wheels were, and I'm pretty confident about this, but the Senate bribes. So Senate, also making the grind plates, made the first anti-rocker wheels. So they were super, super small wheels. They were 44 and 47 millimeters. I don't know how they came up with those numbers, but those are the numbers that we've kind of stuck with. 44 millimeter were the C notes, and bribes were 47 millimeters. Somebody correct me in the chat if I'm wrong. So 44 and 47, and they were super hard. I have some more recent grind wheels. These are the dead anti-rocker wheels. The design is very similar. The C notes had a more flat area and just a little bit of edge. These actually have a really nice tread in the middle, and then a nice profile. So it's a little bit easier on grinds. Back then, all they wanted was just something small and hard. And instead of just skating all small wheels, they would skate anti-rocker. So they'd have big wheels on the outside, and then you'd have C notes or bribes on the inside with your grind plates, and you'd be good to go. Senate continued to make anti-rocker wheels, of course. They made the Dave Kolash blueberry grind wheels. They made the Randy Spicer Crayola grind wheels. They made the Boo-Tang grind wheels. They were all the anti-rocker wheels. There were plenty of anti-rocker wheels from Senate over the years, and plenty of other anti-rocker wheels. They all kind of fit this same mold, right? So they were a 44 to 47 millimeter wheel. They were 101A, which is probably as hard as they could get the urethane. And usually the profile was fairly flat. It was either perfectly flat or it was flat with a little bit of edge. And that was enough. We didn't even consider it back then, to be honest. Like, oh, I need grind wheels. Which one looked best? These anti-rocker wheels fit fine. 47, 44, I don't know. I don't even know. Why would it matter, right? We just wanted to get some anti-rocker wheels, and that's it. And, typically you would just shove them in there. You would take the old bearings or some crappy bearings that you had because they didn't need to spin, right? Who cares? They're just sitting in the middle. So you take whatever bearings you've got stuck, wherever, and you just wanted to make sure that they could fit in the frame, and you just, put your grind plates on and you're good to go. And you never touch them, you never replace them, you never do anything with them. These are just wheels that you add to whatever skates that you have. So the anti-rocker wheels would stick around from frame to frame to frame, from skate to skate to skate. You would use the same anti-rocker wheels because they would never wear. And I think a lot of people are still riding the same anti-rocker wheels from the 90s. I'm sure that there's a lot of those Crayola wheels out there, or a lot of the Dave Kolash wheels out there. It's fine. Like, they do the job, right? So we started thinking at 50/50, we started thinking, why do we have grind wheels, right? Anti-rocker wheels, we never made wheels. Anti-rocker wheels are never touching the ground, and needing to be as hard and fast as possible. So we designed juice blocks, and juice blocks were our answer to anti-rocker wheels. We didn't make anti-rocker wheels, but we always wanted to do things for grinding. And we made juice blocks. Juice blocks were, I actually have this box of juice blocks, if you can believe it. Back in the days, we sold so many juice blocks, we had packaging for the juice blocks. Little shiny bottom. This box actually, I can't believe we had this much. It's actually glued. I can't open it. It does have, it's pretty funny on the outside. It says, 50/50 cannot be held responsible for any injury while riding juice blocks. We suggest riding at least a 56 millimeter wheel to prevent the juice blocks from touching the ground and affecting control while skating. That's pretty funny. So 56 millimeter. There are not a lot of 56 millimeter wheels out there, but that kind of shows you that there were people skating smaller than 56 millimeter wheels back then. And that was anti-rocker, and that was a thing. I don't know about that. Like nowadays, you can't, I mean, most people don't skate anything less than a 58 maybe. Most people are trying to skate 60s anti-rocker. That's kind of more standard, but anyway, juice blocks. Let me get one because I don't want to open that box. I kind of like the way that it was. Here's a yellow juice block. So juice blocks were this thing that, you know, you can look at them installed. It was an anti-rocker wheel that we would install. And what it would basically do, these are the juice blocks. It fits in right here. Basically what it would do is it would create a really nice grinding surface for you. So the groove here would just create this nice little pocket so that when you jumped on, you can grind better. And then you would have big wheels on the outside. It was designed for skating anti-rocker, but instead of using anti-rocker wheels, because nobody cared that the anti-rocker wheels spun, you would just ride juice blocks. And it gives you a bigger grind area. They're never going to touch the ground, so who cares, right? We came out with those for the original UFS frames in 2001, 2002, around that time frame. And I remember being at the ASR trade show when we announced them and we showed them off. And Shane Coburn, who was at the time with Medium, came over to our booth and he looked at them and he was like, "These are amazing. I love this." And he had this weird grin on his face and we were like, "Okay, thanks, that's cool." Little did we know that Shane was working with Solomon to develop the Mook frame. The Mook frame was the first freestyle frame. Freestyle is a frame that doesn't have a way to mount middle wheels. You don't skate them with anti-rocker wheels. You don't skate them with juice blocks. You don't skate them with anything because it only can fit 2 wheels. This entire area was a groove. So he took it a step further where we said, you know what, these anti-rocker wheels, most people don't care that they spin. They're completely pointless. What are they doing in the middle? We said, because of that, we're just going to make juice blocks. Who cares if they don't spin? Shane said, you're right. Who cares if they don't spin? We don't need anything in there. If all I'm going to do is grinds, let's just give them a nice big grinding area. So he came out with a Mook frame. And the Mook frame was this frame, a standard frame, right? But it had this big groove. Now, I don't have a Mook frame, but I do have a 50/50 freestyle frame. So this was the 50/50 answer to the Mook frame. As you can see, there is no way that you can mount wheels on the inside. These are not designed for anti-rocker, not designed for flat. This is all you're going to do is grind. You're going to put some big old wheels on the outside and you're going to jump on a ledge. And that's all that you need to worry about with this setup because all you're going to do is grind. It doesn't matter. You can see how deep this groove is. We were talking a little earlier about Royale angles. This groove, as compared to like, so this is that Kaiser fluid frame that I was talking about that has a really nice deep groove for Royales. This thing has nothing on this freestyle frame. Look at that. Look at how low that is. You put this on these SLs, it just disappears. Where is it? Here. It just disappears. Like, you're probably more likely to slip into a royale than you are to actually land it. So these were designed so that you could just grind all day and all night. You didn't have to worry about anything. And Shane's design was really the catalyst for the freestyle movement. He was the guy that came up with the idea. We were following in his footsteps. We thought, this core system, put some aluminum in there. We had heard that his frames were breaking. So we wanted to make sure that we made it strong. Obviously, if you grind in this area, there's going to be a weak point, and it's going to just snap in the middle. We wanted to make it so that it couldn't snap in the middle, so we put a metal core on the inside, and we made super strong walls so that even if you ground down to the bottom of this little channel, it's not going to break. But this was freestyle, and this was the way that people skated a lot in like the mid-2000s. There were a lot of freestyle frames out there. You can still find a few now. So I know Kaiser makes a few. Ground Control made a freestyle frame. I don't think they do anymore, but they made one. I know Cultic makes a freestyle frame. We don't make these anymore, and the Mook, the original Mook that Shane designed, was purchased with Shadow, which was part of the same company owned by Solomon. And now you can get it as the Type M, I think it's called, from USD. So it's the Kaiser Type M frame is the old Mook frame. If you ever wanted to experiment with freestyle, it's a very interesting way to go about it. Again, solving the problem that we tried to solve with juice blocks, he took it a step further. He said, you know what, I'm going to throw that whole thing out. I don't care. I don't care about anti-rocker wheels or juice blocks. I'm just going to give them a big old tray to grind on. It's crazy. Anyway, so that was freestyle. And that was kind of the epitome of grinder blading. When you look at the chronological order of grinds, I don't know that you can get any more grinder blader friendly than a frame like this. Like, the groove is so low that you don't have to do much to get boot down on any trick. There's, for our frame specifically, there's a nice groove, so even if you miss a little bit, you slide right into this groove so you lock in. And you're not going to get wheel bite, because there's no wheels to bite. If you bite on these front two wheels, you got other problems to deal with. I think this was like the epitome of grinder blading. And now I don't know that this is the answer anymore. I think that we realized, well, hold on. We kind of look silly doing these, and we were very image conscious back then. We kind of look silly doing these and doing front sides and stuff with these frames. There was a huge shift to go back to flat. And really quick, go through some of the flat frames. I don't have all of the flat frames, but there was a shift to go, from the grinder blading side to go to the flat side, but still allow for grinds. And a couple of examples of that. So if you look at this Able frame. So Able was a company started by Ezekiel Anderson. This was a prototype. I don't know that this was ever actually made in production. I have two. These are pink. It's awesome, isn't it? So these are pink Able frames. They have a replaceable H-block, so you could replace them. Really cool, like, groove area here that locks you on. I mean, all of his angles were just so good. This beefy, look how beefy this frame is. Like, this is the strongest frame you're ever going to skate. What's super interesting about this frame is, as far as I know, and I would love to be corrected, please leave a comment or send me an email or a message if you could find prior art to this. As far as I know, this was one of the original frames with wheel bite. I think the only exception might be the K2 frame, maybe. Did the original K2 Fatty have the H-block extend past the frame? I think it might have. It might have. Maybe not this much. I think this was the first that actually had a little bit of wheel bite protection. And what that means is if you put I don't know how big of the wheel it would fit. Probably too big. 58 maybe. So if you put a 58 millimeter wheel in here, you could see that instead of like contemporary frames, like, what's a good frame? Like a balance frame, I guess. This is a very similar frame. For other frames at the time, the groove would stop right at the bottom of the frame. So it would just be completely flat, and this is where the groove would stop. These, you could see, the frame is flat, but the groove comes down. And what that means is that the H-block actually extends closer to the object, which means that you have less chance to wheel bite, and your wheels aren't going to touch. So if you were skating flat, these were really amazing frames for the time to skate because they would keep you from getting wheel bite. And I'm sure that there are other frames out there that did this before. These are the first frames that I know of. Maybe those K2 fatties were the ones that did. I don't have a fresh pair. I seem to remember that the K2 fatty had a little bit of wheel bite protection, but maybe not this dramatic. But these are probably the first UFS with wheel bite protection. Anyway, I love them. I think they're amazing. They're pink. I'm never going to skate them. I just think they're amazing. More recent versions. This K2 frame, probably a really great example. This is the K2 Unnatural frame. It is from the Front Street. I think this is the 265. Yeah, this is the 260. I think this is the 265. It's pretty long. No, this is a 290. It says 265 on top, but it's definitely 26506. It's definitely the 290. If this is this looks like a medium frame. So if this is 250, there's no way that's 265. That's got to be the 290. This is a long frame, but notable. These wheels fit in here. And you can see that this is where you grind. So this wheel bite protection is really nice. It's going to keep you from nicking on this wheel and biting. This was a really great design, and I believe, could be wrong, I believe this was a Kyle Sola project that Kyle actually worked on, which is awesome, because now he does the Sola frames, which is another great flat frame. This groove design, really great example of wheel bite protection. Around this time, maybe a little earlier, the Cultic frame came out. I don't have a pair of Cultic frames, but if I remember correctly, this is a very reminiscent groove to the Cultic. The only catch is that it went deeper. So the actual groove of the Cultic went deeper. This area where it grinds is actually a little bit higher than the flat of this frame, which is a little bit harder to get boot down on Royales. Like we were talking earlier, you want a deeper groove if you want to do boot down Royales without hurting your knees. This is a little taller. It's not bad, though. I remember getting Royales on these frames, and I know a lot of people that skate these frames. So I think it's a really good design. Absolutely love it. I wish K2 would keep making skates, but they don't love us, I guess. Anyway, couldn't do a show without mentioning Wish. This is the medium Wish frame. If you look back at the K2 frame, you can see the wheel bite protection. This wheel bite protection is almost like this. So you've got this huge groove, you got the wheel bite protection, and it actually extends past and creates this grind area, kind of similar to a juice block. So if you just cut this juice block right here, this is kind of like what the Wish looks like, where it's got this huge groove, and it's got a flat area that you could still skate on, but you can skate flat. So it's got 4 wheels. And I talk about this all the time, the way that they can get around this versus the way that they do this is that Cletus Wish decided that he was going to forego UFS and use this smaller wheel on the inside. These are 58s, these are 65s. Bring the 58s down and move it out so that it can get around these UFS bolts. You could push the wheels out, not worry about rubbing on the bolts, and create a nice groove with nice wheel bite protection and nice bumpy area so that even if you miss a little bit, you won't get wheel bite. These are great. For me, I don't prefer these on ledges, especially doing backside Royales and stuff. I think anti-rocker is still preferable. But if you were skating flat frames, these are the flat frames that I recommend if you wanted to skate flat. Especially these Wish, the 270s. These are the 269s, I guess. Really great frame for skating flat. Again, highly recommend it. I don't know that they're out yet, or if they're going to be out this month, next month. I know I have mine. I got a pre-order. I don't know if all of the colors are shipping yet. I haven't seen the whites, so maybe the whites are still waiting. But they are amazing. If you do have an opportunity to pick a pair up, definitely do. 65s, 58s. A little difficult to find good combinations of these two wheels, but they're out there. So if you look hard enough, you can find them. Two examples of flat frames that focused on grinding and just said forget about UFS. This is probably the first one. This is the Kaiser Element. This is a flat frame with a big ass groove. So this groove, this H-block, actually you can swap it. So this is designed for skating flat. If you were skating anti-rocker, I don't know anybody who would want to skate anti-rocker with these. This split is so wide. If you skated anti-rocker with this, you're just crazy. But if you wanted to skate anti-rocker, and these are fresh contour flats, by the way. If anybody is a collector out there, let me know. I've got a pair of minty, never been skated contour flats. Anyway, they said forget about the UFS bolt. So you can see under here, this is a taller frame. These are 58s. I think they fit 58s. But because they said forget about the UFS bolt, they said they're just going to drop it down, leave room for the UFS bolt here, and just move these wheels out. Drop it down so that there's room for the UFS bolt. Perfect. It's the perfect way to do it. It is a little bit taller, but what are we talking, 4 mil? It's really not going to make that big of a difference. Then finally, the most difficult frame to find, the Unobtanium frame, is the mushroom blading big block. Thank you to Todd and Joey for sending these over for me. I absolutely love that I can share these with people. These are the 50% core certified mushroom blading big block frames. If you look back through the progression from the original Able frame, very similar vibe. So it's got this really nice groove, almost like a wedge groove, very similar to like the freestyle frame. I mean, it's essentially just a small freestyle frame, right? With wheels here and then this freestyle groove, and then it's got a few extra wheels. What's amazing about this is, again, they just said forget about this UFS thing. I'm just gonna forget about it and drop the wheels down lower. You lose, what, 3 to 4 mil so that you can have room for that bolt head, but it doesn't really matter. At this point, it is a tall frame. It is going to be difficult to royale. You don't get these frames expecting to do boot down royale tricks like you do with the Kaiser Fluids. They're very different frames, very different use cases. You get these frames because you want to do swizzles. They're long. You ride them a little bit rockered. I think I have these rockered in and then these rockered down. So I have a little bit of rocker, but not too much rocker. And they feel great. They were a lot of fun to skate. Not for me. They're a little too tall. Again, I have experimented with a lot of different setups, and I know what I like. And for me, I love grinder blading. These are great for skating. I think all of these flat frames and this progression of flat frames has been amazing to watch. For me, though, I love skating grinder blading. So getting to that, grinder blading. So going back to the original anti-rocker wheel, you know, when I brought back 50/50, the juice blocks were kind of a no-brainer. When I first started skating juice blocks again, the reason why I wanted to test out juice blocks was because I saw the Wish frame. And I was like, hey, this looks like a juice block, but it's got 4 wheels instead of 2 wheels. I wonder what juice blocks feel like. So I got a pair of frames, I got a pair of juice blocks, and I skated them anti-rocker with juice blocks. I was like, wow, this is horrible. I absolutely hated it. And the nice thing about doing videos, I don't know how many videos I have now, but it's my third year, starting 4th year, I don't know. I've been doing videos for a long time. So I can look back at all of my old videos. And you can see the video that I started skating anti-rocker again. I had these white frames with the blue. Actually, I have these blue juice blocks over here. They were the blue, teal, turquoise JC Rowe juice blocks, and I think it's a white frame with the teal one. You can see if you can find it. Just do a search for anti-rocker on my channel, and you'll probably find it. And it felt horrible. I think I was skating with the Rossi's wheels. I don't know if I have any of those. Oh, I do. So skating with these Rossi's wheels, which we talked a little bit about profiles. This is not a good anti-rocker profile, right? So this is very similar to this. It's not going to feel good when you're turning. You want something like this. You want something like this, where it's going to be rounded. This looks pretty rounded now, but it's such a flat area up here. You want this peak. This peak will give you this control. If you're skating anti-rocker with this wheel, that's going to be a long frame. And I could say it over and over and over again. My first time skating anti-rocker in like 12 years, it felt like I was feeling every crack, every bump. My feet were just long, like my frames felt long. And I rewatched that video and I had so much fun skating because I could do tricks that I've never been able to do skating flat. You know, I skated flat, when I first came back, I skated flat with balance frames, 58s, with these wheels, 58s. And I was struggling doing royales, of course, because I was skating flat. And I was trying to do royales with balance frames, 58 flat. That's a really hard setup. And then I went to wish frames, and I learned how to do royales with these. I have probably a little bit more patience than some. I learned how to do royales with these, and then I had wish frames, and it was like super easy, right? Because I learned the proper technique to do royales. I was able to just go out there, and now my royale felt great. Squash the wish frames, and I could sit down on them. It felt amazing. But all of that compared to just skating anti-rocker, night and day. So I skated anti-rocker again. I said, when I had this, when was it? The teal juice blocks, I said, you know what? I should probably try some actual anti-rocker wheels. And I got these dead wheels. And I set these up on my Featherlights, I think. I think I had these on my Featherlights. Again, you can see the old videos because everything's up there. If you say, do a search for anti-rocker, you'll see all of my anti-rocker wheels, wheel testing. And I had a blast. I had so much fun. And it was like, there was a noticeable difference with skating, of course. I couldn't skate like I was used to hockey at the time. And I couldn't skate as quickly like this as I could skating flat. But the trade-off was that I didn't have any wheel bite, and I didn't have any fears of wheel bite. Like, I could just jump on the ledge, and I could just grind the ledge doing anything that I wanted, and I could try different grinds. And I had that confidence. I could just jump on and just try anything I wanted. And for me, and I'm assuming a lot of you out there, I don't have a ton of time to skate. So for me, investing 6 months into learning how to do a royale properly is a privilege. I don't think everybody has that option. Like the guy that emailed me today asking about a setup so that he could learn royales. I'm not going to tell him to get balance frames and ride them flat 58s with these wheels. I think that's torture. I think what I ended up telling him was get yourself some SLs, because the SL has that big, wide sole plate, and it has the Featherlight 3s that come with it. So I think anti-rocker is the way to go. For most of us coming back into blading, I think that riding flat is fine, and I think there's going to be a lot of people out there who love riding flat. I think you should still ride flat. I think we have some amazing frames to ride flat with. But get yourself some Featherlights, get yourself some balance frames, get yourself some, Kaiser Fluids or some Create Originals. Get yourself some nice rounded sort of wheels that are softer. Try to find some 88s. They do make some 88 60s, rounded 60s. And I make an 88 58 if you need a 58 millimeter wheel. Get these in 88. They feel amazing. And I think you're going to really like it. I think that anti-rocker, got a bad rap. And it's not just for grinder blading. It's for skating. It's for skating without having to worry about sticking on things. It's for skating, slower. You don't have to skate super fast to grind the whole ledge. You could just skate. You don't have to be perfect to grind the whole ledge. You could just skate. So I started trying to figure out, what do I want to do with anti-rocker wheels? And I started testing different anti-rocker wheels because, 50/50 makes wheels. And I said, it would be great if I could, the reason why we make wheels is because we make frames. And we make frames, I want to be able to sell a complete frame. I want people to go to a website and say, I want this 50/50 setup, right? So I have my boots. I want everything else from 50/50. So I'm going to get a pair of balance frames. They come stock with juice blocks. And now I just need wheels for the outside. And we have a variety of wheels, 58s and 60s that you can try. Get yourself some new wheels. Get yourself a complete setup. Get yourself some bearings. And, one-stop shop. You can get everything that you want from the website. But I started getting questions. And I started getting people saying, are you going to make anti-rocker wheels? I don't like juice blocks. I rub too much when I skate juice blocks. I don't like the rubbing when I'm skating juice blocks. I want a little bit more of a groove. And I'm skating them, but these things don't wear down. With juice blocks, these things are thick. It's going to be a while until you wear that down. So you're not going to get a deep groove with juice blocks. It's going to stay pretty close to this. And this is a great groove, but that doesn't mean that everybody loves this groove. A lot of people love this sort of groove. And that's fine. You're not going to get this sort of groove with juice blocks. You're going to need to get some anti-rocker wheels. So I started looking into it and I started saying, what sort of anti-rocker wheels do I want? So I actually sourced a few 44 and 47 millimeter anti-rocker wheels and I tested them out. I wasn't a huge fan. I think there are some benefits to urethane. I don't know that it's necessary though. I think urethane is good for wheels and for skating, but I don't know that it's the perfect solution for anti-rocker wheels. And I know there's a lot of people out there who love the feeling of urethane. Urethane is going to be a little softer. It's going to be, you're still going to get a little bit of wheel bite. And it's silly to say that you're going to get wheel bite with an anti-rocker wheel, but you will get wheel bite with anti-rocker wheels. The hardness, the right profile, all of that, it all matters, and you got to figure out what works for you. But for me, I think a urethane anti-rocker wheel, I tested a bunch of them. I didn't mind them, but I didn't love them. I tested a bunch of these little things. So these are the little grinds. I don't know what they're called. They're called anti-rocker wheels, I think. I think I call them barrels. These are the ones that come on the Featherlight 3. And where are they? They're not great. I think they're cheap. I could have made these really easily and added them to the frame. The two things, though, that I wanted to look at in an anti-rocker wheel was I wanted to make sure that it helped grinding. I wanted to make sure that it rolled. So I think this is a great grinding feeling. It doesn't roll. If I made an anti-rocker wheel, it should roll. I mean, that's what the customer is asking for, right? If they don't care about it rolling, just give them a juice block. It's fine. These don't roll. They're kind of there. They don't fit bearings. This is the way that the... do I have them? So these are the blank frames from Rollerblade. Similar design to this Kaiser Fluid. Big split, big, deep, wide groove. Really great for anti-rocker. But it comes with these little nub things. And these don't roll. And that's not great. Add to that, if you've ever skated these, or if you've ever seen anybody skate them, or hear anybody skate them, if you know what I mean, they squeak a lot. And I know it's silly, but I love the feeling of jumping on a grind and it just being this solid grind, And you get that with juice blocks. You get that with Create Originals. You get that with a lot of different frames, so long as you have really good anti-rocker wheels. You get that with these dead urethane anti-rocker wheels. You don't get that with these. These, when they grind, they kind of squeak. And it's because of this angle. Because of this angle. Like, this is like getting wheel bite with these. Or if you're trying to do like parallel slides or something with these, you don't want that. You want something more like this, where it's got this really nice edge. Just like if you're doing slides like the mushroom blading guys do. They're doing slides with 100 millimeter wheels, but they're like this. So they're sliding on this edge. They want as much surface area here so they can squish in and they can grind and basically grind, right? Slide across the ground. These anti-rocker wheels, the dead ones, they slide across the ground. They have a really nice profile. These do not. These do not. This is why this squeaks when you're skating. It's horrible. I do not want to make something like this. So I started looking around, and I started making the grind plates, and I started designing an anti-rocker wheel. And I said, you know what? What if we made them out of UHMW? And I know that a lot of people have made them out of UHMW. It's not like I'm inventing UHMW anti-rocker wheels. It is, from my experience, the best material for grinding. It is, again, why we used it for all those years doing grind plates. It is a super fast material. It is self-lubricating. It is soft, so you're not going to get that hard feeling that you would get with a UHMW grind wheel, anti-rocker wheel. But it slides. It's designed to slide. And I started looking around trying to find somebody who could make them for us. I found our local shop and they were happy to do it, but I was very fortunate. Actually, it was serendipity. My old friend Mark Vanderbo called me up just out of the blue and said, hey, I have been making some grind wheels under the 616 brand, and I've been making them for other companies in the past. Would you be interested in making some grind wheels for a 50/50? And I said, you know what? I think I would. So I asked him for some samples and I gave him a test. And I'm really, really happy to announce that we're going to be making anti-rocker wheels. And they're going to be made by a skater up in Detroit, Michigan. I don't know, he's in Detroit. He's outside of Detroit. He's actually outside of Detroit. Where is he? No, yeah, he's in 616. Where's 616? I don't even know. Grand Rapids? No, I don't know. It's up in Michigan. It's in the U.S., but I'm super stoked to be able to work with Mark again. He's going to be making our grind wheels. They are anti-rocker wheels, and I'm going to show them to you real quick. So these are the 50/50 anti-rocker wheels. These are the final samples that we've been testing. These are 46 millimeter. Some of them get a little bit up to 47. It just depends on the tolerance of the UHMW. It is everything that I've learned from grinds in a single little wheel. So you probably have already seen something similar to this. It's not like I'm reinventing the wheel, but it is very purpose-built. And in my experience, it is the best in class of anti-rocker wheels. And here's why. So first of all, they're made out of UHMW. UHMW is an amazing material. It is soft. It is designed for grinds. It is designed to slide and be slippery. So this is what you want to stick in the middle of your frame so that you can jump on things and grind. It is 47 millimeters. So what's nice about 47 millimeter is it's not too small. It's not too big. It is perfect. Do I have my balance frames? Yes. That don't have wheels in them. Shoot. Should have brought some without wheels. It is perfect for balance frames. So when they fit in to the balance frame, they're just a little bit bigger than a juice block, but the angle is, this angle is designed to provide perfect angle with the groove on the balance frame. So when you jump on, you should be able to just continue with that angle. You know, we were talking about 2 points of contact with a Royale trick. You're going to get 2 points of contact with this anti-rocker wheel, the frame and the and the wheel. It's going to be a nice continual grind. It has a flat tread on top. We didn't do a super fine point because we wanted to make sure that this angle lined up properly with the frames. They come with wheels and bearings and bearing spacers. So this is how they will come in the packaging. These are the samples before the final production. You can hear it moves around a little bit. The production ones use the same bearing spacers that I provide with all the 50/50 wheels, the little small ones. It is just big enough to fit that in there. So there will be no movement with the bearing spacer. It'll just slide right in. It'll come pre-installed with bearings. They're going to be ABEC 3 bearings. They're not going to be the ABEC 9s because you don't really need bearings in here. You just need to make it so that it rolls. So it's going to come stock with bearings so that it will roll. That is the reason why I'm making these as well as juice blocks. If all you want is to grind, you can use these. If you want them to be the best grind performance, you get these. They will continue to roll. Even when your wheels get small, down to 56mm, you'll still be able to roll over cracks, over ledges, over little inclines when you're dropping in on transitions. These things, I mean, they're regular wheels. They roll fine. They should roll. Your wheels should roll. Finally, you can barely see it, but I am laser engraving the edges. So instead of just a plain UHMW grind wheel, it has 50/50 logo engraved on the outside with a freaking laser. So it goes through, I'll post some video. It goes through and it laser engraves it. They look great. And more importantly, they ride great. Anytime you've seen me skating black anti-rocker wheels in the past 2 months, these are the wheels that I've been skating. And I've tested different sizes. I tested 50mm ones. They were a little too big. They didn't feel right. I didn't test any smaller ones. I feel like there needed to be something there. So the 46, 47mm was kind of the perfect size. We tested different angles, different sizes of the bearing spacer. This is what we came up with, though, and I'm super excited about it. I think that it will be great to provide an option for customers who want to buy the new frames when they come in. If you want to get them with juice blocks, great. They'll come stock with juice blocks. If you want to get them with wheels and juice blocks, great. We'll sell you wheels. If you want to get them with wheels and anti-rocker wheels, great. We'll have that option too. So any way you want to grind, we got you covered. And for me, this with a balance frame is probably the best setup that I've found for all-around skating. It's not the easiest setup. The balance frames aren't as low as these fluid frames, but they're pretty close. It's going to give you a really good lock, though, because this groove is nice and solid, and these anti-rocker wheels will provide a nice groove. They're not going to grind down. Eventually, they're going to grind down. They're not going to be expensive to get a replacement anti-rocker wheel, but eventually they'll grind down. These are the ones that I've been skating for a couple of months. You can see there's very little noticeable wear. I don't think they're going to grind down anytime soon, but you can always replace them. Anyway, super excited about this. Next project, again, it's just looking at what we provide and trying to make sure that people that ask for things get what they want. And I've had so many people ask, why don't you make an anti-rocker wheel? I want to have juice blocks that roll. This is our answer. So it is a UHMW anti-rocker wheel. They are shipping to me right now. They will be here this weekend, and we will go live next week. So I've only got a few sets coming in the first run. Again, got to test the waters and see how this goes. But if you're interested, the website will be up next week. Follow the 50/50 Frames Instagram or us on the Facebook for more information. And yeah, I'm super excited about it. I think it's going to be fun. They're a really great anti-rocker wheel. If you've ever gotten wheel bite on an anti-rocker wheel, it happens. Guaranteed you won't be getting wheel bite with these. They're just going to slide like butter. So it is a good feeling. It's fun to grind. I don't want to try any harder than I already am. And this is a good setup for me.